I'm Therese FitzMaurice. I am the co-host, one of the co-organizers of A Reason to Listen. I'm often up there emceeing. I also teach high school at Arcata High, and I'm a mother of two beautiful beings. One of my favorite parts about A Reason to Listen's open mic is you never know what you're going to get. And for me, as an audience member and as an organizer, we get to witness the whole range of the human experience in a way that we rarely do when we're just engaged in small talk. And it's fascinating to me that people are confident enough to step on stage and share something that they usually wouldn't just share when they first meet someone.
How do we really say goodbye for the last time? For this, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for the sedation and the deep slumber. I wasn't prepared for the translucent pink and the shaking hands on the syringe. I wasn't prepared for his heavy breaths. That same coastal air he breathed as a pup, he expelled deeply from his diaphragm as he died.
I think poetry is one of the most original art forms. I suppose maybe drumming may have come first even before language.
Hum, gumma, hum, dum, hum, gumma, hum, dum, hum, gumma, hum, dum.
But poetry was a way of passing down stories with rhythm and rhyme in a way that people could remember before the written language existed. And I think as humans, we're meaning makers. The story we tell ourselves about our lives, our culture, really informs the way we want to live and the way that we want to teach our children about life. So I think, in its essence, poetry was a way of passing down morals, ethics, beliefs, inspiration. And I think we're just drawn to that in some kind of really primal way.
Back when we were student and teacher, you came to visit for a weekend. Revealed you were not so happily married after all. Moving from student teacher to more personal, we shared our poems. Some of mine about loving women. You left for home, and I wondered if our friendship was over because of my lesbian words. It was, but not as I expected.
One of the things I love about A Reason to Listen is that we get new people every month. And sometimes people who've never been to a poetry reading before. And, I guess they're probably there because they're at least open to curiosity. But I have students who are like, poetry is not for me. And if I could get them to go there, I would want them to understand that poetry is not like William Shakespeare, right? Like, I think a lot of times people associate it with like old dead white guys and these classics of like things that rhyme in a language that they don't quite understand or something that feels really archaic. And of course that is poetry and some people love that. But for me, poetry is the voice of the human spirit expressed in a way that they're channeling some truth that they are discovering. And so I would hope that when somebody comes in, that they feel the power of that and understand that they have that capacity inside of them as well. Even if they don't ever want to be a poet, but that the ability and urge to create is a human need, and finding a way to channel that voice, whether it be in poetry or art or building, creating food, but that we have that essential desire to create. And I'd hope that whoever walked in that door, that their creative instinct is fed and that they walk away knowing that it's a valuable thing to do, even if it never makes them any money.
Take an internal turmoil and turn it external to turn and subvert it like a tourniquet. Universally, is verbal speech to personal grief like a diploma to a university? Move into the next stage, next phase, press play on the next days and hope they're the best days, feeling the healing and skip the x-rays, erasing thesis from essays, let's say it comes in less waves, and more in the current luridly, but can it be concurrently mismanaging the undercurrent of the family urgently damaging any planned connection, escaping the pavement? On this planet, plan a statement and engrave it like hands in cave paintings, or clock hands in faces of time, expanding places like water to a sand oasis, withstanding favorite panicked language. Cannot take it and remake it animated and creative, stripping civilization till the land is naked.
We've had audience members attend who are not poets and say like, well, how do you write a poem? Or, how do you get started? How do you get your ideas? And for me, my first thing that I usually do when I'm writing is I just notice where I am. So I might just start looking around the room or put myself in an environment that feels conducive to creativity. I like to go watch music and write or go out in nature. And I start with where I'm at and I allow the poem to lead me. When I try to write something, it usually is terrible. But when I just open up to this creative force and start from these very tactile senses, that things just start coming, and I try to trust the process.
Thank you, Autumn. It's so amazing to me. And I mean, that's part of what I was telling my students today. I was like, I'm grateful I get to spend time with these inspired young kids. And I was telling them how you get older, it's easier to lose your sense of wonder. The fact that we just had 2 people in a row come up for the first time, and you don't look like you're teenagers, so I appreciate that you're doing new things. And that was what I was telling them, is like, you gotta keep growing and learning, and it keeps things fresh. So that's amazing, I love it.
It is easy to lose our sense of wonder as we get older. And I mean, the thing that helps me hold on to it more than anything is being around young people. I try to remember on a daily practice that every day is a gift and that tomorrow's not guaranteed. And I think both like youth and just the reality of death, right? And being around elders also has been helpful for me. Looking at how they look back on their life, what choices they've made, and thinking about myself when I get to the end of my life, like what do I hope that I will have lived when I look back? Just reminds me how precious, everything is.
But is your legacy your stuff? The treasures you've collected and trinkets you've compiled? Was this what you meant to leave behind for an estate sale with strangers haggling? Is there more to life than the stuff placed in a box on the side of the road? I know you were more than what I can hold in my hand or buy for $1, and you can't be held in a box. You are more than your stuff. You are held in the memories of those you loved well, and their memories can't even contain your full self. Anyway, aren't we all simply the memories of each other? I am the memory of you. You are the memory of me. And we are the memory of God.
It makes everything more precious knowing that it's all quite temporary. And I think that awe and sense of wonder allows us to stay connected to love in a deep way when we start taking it for granted, just like, oh, this is just the way life is, or this is how the day is, or, it's terrible things in politics. It cuts us out from the most precious thing we have, which is time. And I want to choose to stay connected to love and choose to appreciate anything that I can. Not as like a naive escapism from the reality of the world, but as an act of gratitude for all the people who worked incredibly hard to give me the privilege of this life, and in hopes to expand that privilege for others and continue that lineage, because I do have access to wonder and awe and love, and not everybody does.
The time has come, and it's time to say something ain't right in the USA. Oh yeah, it's time to say something ain't right in the USA.
The current state of the country is difficult at best. A lot of people are struggling internally and not necessarily speaking about it. And I think at Poetry Night, people have a place to come and give voice to that.
How do you write a poem of endings when you're not quite sure how it all began? When cliches and tropes won't even smudge the dystopian limbo we're living in? What is the ending of this American story? Is it happily ever after? Or, and the people rose against the tide of authoritarianism and won?
And I think what poets do is remind folks that revolution starts from the everyday people, and it's everyday people who really give power to the government. And so our silence is compliance with what's happening.
I awoke this morning from a dream. Wooden letters, hand-carved, hung on the welcome wall. Renee Nicole Cafe, be the good. Her last words hovered like an angel of forgiveness on the mural made in her likeness. I'm not mad at you. Soft and sweet, a call to be the good, to bravely witness, to show up, to ask questions, to protect your neighbor's rights,
to collectively record from 4 angles, just moments before Jonathan Ross shot Good 3 times in the head. He calmly captured his perspective, walking around her car. He documented her beautiful smile through the open window. She kindly sings, "I'm not mad at you."
And I think it's a really common experience for folks there to both walk away with inspiration and sort of like a feeling refueled, like connecting with the tenderness of being present in community.
From breath to death, from death to breath, I've learned that I rise new every morning. Each day is my resurrection.
And it's also very healing, right? It's very healing for the people who are sharing those stories. And I feel honored to be able to like hold that space for them.